You are now tuned into This Korean Life with your hosts, Brian and Nate.
Welcome back to another episode of This Korean Life, number 108, featuring Nino Chikobava-Mauceri.
Hello.
Happy 10th anniversary living in Ulsan.
That's right.
Yeah.
Today is 10 years.
That's a big milestone. How do you feel?
It's interesting
Yeah?
to see pictures of my kids who were tiny and now they're teenagers.
Absolutely. That's
Did you ever think you'd be here 10 years?
No. They told us it's 2 years. And
yeah.
then 2 years
That's
later,
what they tell
they're
everyone.
like, it's 2 years. Yeah, well, nobody told us that.
No, I remember coming here and Jeff, one of our friends, he had been here for 10 years and thinking like, whoa, my God, this guy's been here forever.
Right.
And then you hit 10 years like, oh, it wasn't that long.
It wasn't that long.
You know?
But the interesting thing is when my kids get asked, where are you from? And they're like, well,
That's a tough
it's
question.
a long story.
Yeah. How much time you got?
Yeah.
It's not that easy.
Are
I
they
think-
born in New York?
No, they were born in California.
Ah.
Raised 3 years in New York, and then here we are in Korea.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. Kids of the world.
Yeah.
Children of the world.
That's for sure.
And that's, I mean, I saw just recently at ISB, you guys had a big international.
That's right.
What an international day. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
We do that every year just to get the community involved and experience all the different cultural foods, games.
Sure. There's quite a
dressing,
quite
everything.
a mix over there
we
too.
have usually somewhere between 300 to 400 people show up,
Holy
including of the
mackerel.
families.
Awesome.
So they tell their friends and
Wow.
Before coming here, were you guys fairly stagnant in the States? Or were you also very travel oriented?
So my husband went to a SUNY Maritime University for his engineering degree, and that school provides you the opportunity to spend 3 summers on the ship anywhere they choose in the world, port of call, because that's how you get your cadet experience.
Wow.
So he's been traveling everywhere. I'm from Georgia, so I came from
Not the
Europe.
state.
Yeah, not the state, the country.
We had to clarify that earlier.
That's right. And so I've done just the U.S. travels and maybe like the Caribbean. I never did Europe because it was too far
Yeah.
and expensive. So, but I have been to many, many states in U.S.
So what was it like when he got the posting here? What were some of the things that went through your mind bringing a family and kids over? And
Well,
that must be in 10 years ago. I mean,
You thinking
that would have been
North-
almost when it changed, because 20 years ago it was like all single dudes. There was almost no families, and it was almost all single guys under 30. But about 10 years ago, that's when it started changing, and then Busan Foreign School and the Busan International School, and Skyrex became a place, and it was starting to become a more family thing and less single guys. But what was it like deciding or making the decision to come with a young family? And
so actually, it was my find Korea opportunity. He was sailing at the time, and my son was in soccer. And in New York, all the dads volunteer for the soccer clubs to be coaches or whatever it is. And here I was, the mom that screams out the kid's name every time he touches the ball. And one day he turns and
love those moms.
Yeah, right?
Soccer mom.
I'm still that mom. And he goes, Mom, how come Daddy's not here? And that's when I said, okay, the money's good in sailing, but it's not worth it. So he goes, okay, find me something that I could do either in New York. We considered Florida. We considered Colorado, California, since we lived there already. And then I was like, let's go outside.
Oh.
Third country.
Let's see what's out there.
you hadn't really gone.
I hadn't, no.
I mean, the Caribbean and stuff is still pretty close.
So, but we
Wow.
have the travel bug in us. We don't like to stay
Itchy
in
feet,
one place. Yeah. So I said, I came across this thing, something about surveys. I don't know if you're qualified, but it's in Korea. And he goes, send me the information. And I sent him the information. When he came back sailing, he got interviewed in a New York office. And they're like, your wife's okay to go to Korea. And he's like, yeah, she did all the research. And the guy goes, okay, good. You're like on the next flight out. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So 4 weeks later, here we are, 10 years.
So that was the same company, just a different position?
No.
Completely separate?
Completely different company, different.
So was he just in between
area.
jobs, or?
No, he was. So when you're
just quit?
when you're sailing, you're like 3 months on, 3 months off,
Right.
and then you could like stop anytime you want as long
okay.
as you
That's
give them
standard
notice.
within the...
within the industry,
Yeah.
the sailing industry. So he told them like after I leave, I'm not coming back. I found another
Okay.
job overseas, whatever. Yeah, it's okay.
So the main impetus was to have more family time and to be
That's
around
right.
more.
I was like, I don't
watch the
want to
kids
give
grow up.
excuses. I don't want to say daddy's at work, 3 months at a time. So I was like, you need to be at home every time. You need to be at sports, screaming along with me.
Sure.
This is funny because when I coach the kids hockey Saturday and Sundays, and it's mostly moms and a few dads, and they always think like, why doesn't mom come? I'm like, well, it's pretty boring standing here at practice, freezing cold. Like it's a little bit different, but they go, my mom only comes when there's a game. And I said, yeah, that's because it's fun, it's exciting, and the kids are into it.
Support, yeah.
But they think it's even funnier. This week was open class for the after school classes at their elementary school, and parents can just come drop in and check them out. And I go to the school as much as I can. I don't want them to be so weird and the mysterious Wagogan dad.
Right.
So all the kids at school know who I am. I try and go enough. But I went yesterday to a computer science class for Lena or something, and the teacher's jaw almost hit the floor. And all the kids are going, Lena Appa, Lena Appa. And I think it's just so natural to expect moms to show up at 1 p.m. or 2 and they say, hey, I'll take the time and go show up. My wife goes all the time too. She gets off work. Mm-hmm. But not many dads doing that.
That's right.
And to be a foreign guy walking around the school, like lots of the teachers.
Yeah,
That's
so
funny.
I wanted him to be the dad as well as me being the mom. So
Because when Sean lived here before, he said lots of his work too was out on a boat, and that was something that he kind of regretted early in life, whether he was missing Christmas or one story that sticks out to me, his son got hurt and the mom had to take him to the hospital by himself, and he wasn't there to support. So
yeah,
solid move.
Yeah, so we came here. He's home every day, 5:30.
Awesome.
Monday through Friday.
Awesome.
What was it like after 2 years? I mean, they say you can extend 2 more years. Is it like, we love it here, it's great, or no thought of trying something itchy feet, going somewhere else, or no?
So 2 years was kind of like, okay, we haven't finished seeing Korea because we're sightseers. We like to be involved in the cultures that we try to see and explore. And we said 2 years is not enough. Let's extend.
Yeah.
So that went to the next project and the next project. And, the shipping industry is kind of weird. They tell you, okay, the ship's going to be built in 2 years. But, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to go over. So we're like, okay, 2 years, maybe it'll be 3 years. And then let's come back and we'll, reevaluate. And then it came again and again. And by that time, kids are growing and they're getting comfortable in the school.
Making friends.
So we said, you know what? Let's just stay here as long as we can. It's a safe country. I can't do the same things that we do in New York, especially. And so we're here, and now we have our crossed fingers that we're going to graduate at least one of our kids here.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
The school that you guys are in is incredible.
It's amazing.
ISB is so good.
Yeah, so I'm
good.
lucky that my kids got used to the commute early on. My daughter was second grade and my son was fourth grade.
I was going to say, they never went to the Hyundai foreign school here?
They did their nursery and kindergarten there in the first 2 grades.
Oh, they got to go. You guys live in Donggu?
Yeah, we live in Donggu.
Oh, so they commute
they
to
commute.
Busan.
And luckily, ISB has a bus that picks up kids from Donggu.
They got used to it early. It's a long ride.
It's a long ride for a second grader. You're talking like 8 years old.
And you're too young to kind of be productive on the way.
Exactly.
To get something done or your homework. Just read a book.
Yeah, and the kids are trying to sleep, so you don't want to talk that much either. So,
Get them up, ship them on.
Yeah, but
Keep
they
sleeping.
got into the routine. I'm all about the routine.
Yeah.
And they've become so comfortable so quickly. And I feel bad moving them, especially high school.
Yeah.
Teenage years. It's hard to adjust as it is.
Right.
So now we're hoping we could graduate my son. 2 more years.
Nicholas is what, grade 9? 10?
He's 10th grade. So we're looking at 2 years. 2026 would be his graduation, and my daughter would be 2028.
Wow.
That's about, what, an hour commute?
Yes. So before, the bus used to go downtown picking everybody up.
Yeah.
But now we have so many kids from Daegu
Really?
that we're the last stop because we live right by the bridge, and they get on the bridge and straight to school.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing.
Hyundai's in tough then. With
Door to
with
door,
the
1
school.
hour.
Yeah.
Whereas
That's not that bad, actually.
No,
Like,
it's not that bad.
If you think of like your kids' competitive taekwondo, soccer, whatever in Canada, the States, I mean, you'd be driving 30,
Exactly.
40, 50 minutes all over the city. So
Now everything's there. After school is there. The bus is waiting for them. And
they
they'll
take a
bring
night bus home, or
So it depends. If they're doing competitive sports, for example, my daughter does soccer. She's the captain this year. My son does volleyball. Those are where it's after school bus times. So they have to take the train back, which again, luckily now we have a train
It's right
that
beside
comes
there.
right there.
Yeah.
They take the bus. They're home almost the same time as if the bus was picking them up, just a little bit later. They're old enough.
the train goes to the Tewa station, right?
Tewa station, and then they get off at the Osiria station, which is directly behind the school.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was there buying tickets to go to Seoul, like KTX tickets, because you don't have to go to Anyang, just go there and buy them,
Yeah.
make sure I got them. And I ran into a couple of the old hockey guys who used to be, their dads worked at Hyundai, and they were going to Hyundai foreign school and then transferred to there. And I ran into them and, what are you doing here? Like, are you a commuter? Like, are you coming from Busan? He's like, yeah, I just stayed late and studied, so I usually take the train home. And I was like, wow. Like, it wouldn't be that, I mean, you go to Tokyo, you go to Seoul, these kids are on the subways,
Absolutely.
independent.
I did it when I was growing up.
I thought it was great. And I was just surprised to see him and his two buddies coming off the train, going back to Dongguan. I was like, wow, this is cool.
It's nice. It has changed in the last 10 years, I have to say.
Oh, my God.
Like, that option was not even on the table.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. That's
so again, we're comfortable here. So where would I go?
That's awesome.
But also, I mean, Steve's job allows him to travel
That's
quite a
right.
bit. And I don't know, how much vacation does he get?
He gets 27 days a year. And then if he doesn't use
your
all
profile
of it,
looks like you have 270 days a
yeah,
year.
so it's 27 working days.
Oh, that's good.
So
That's
if
important.
you plan it right and you get those
Chuseok and Seola.
holidays and Mondays
Yeah.
and whatever, you could get a lot of vacation
Yeah,
time.
that's awesome.
You got to plan.
And 27 doesn't sound that much, but yeah, like you said, when you do it like that,
Oh,
it
no,
is. It's huge.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
27 working
And
days.
compared to the average Hyundai guy with 4 days.
Right? And he gets
Jeez.
six days. In 10 years, he's never taken one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Can you bank those and like
No.
change
you
them in at the end of
cannot.
the year?
Do they get paid out?
I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's never taken it.
My
so I
dad
don't know.
retired a year and a half early, I think, just on sick days.
6 days? Wow.
And same thing. He didn't take one for 40 years or something.
There you go.
He retired a couple of years early. But
Why not?
they're pretty stingy on that stuff now. And I think in Korea, the civil servants, if you don't take them, they pay you out. But it's only a fraction of.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's
Like I
worth
said,
it's worth
he's
taking them
never-
on the whatever beautiful Friday in the fall, just calling in sick and taking
Yeah,
a day.
take a small road trip. Why
But
not?
they're frowned upon here. You shouldn't be doing that stuff.
Oh, that's yeah.
Good thing we're foreigners. We can get away with a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. But with those 27 days, you guys are into a lot of traveling, as we can see. Yeah.
Yeah. If you ask me 10 years ago, do you have time to see all of Korea? Yes. I think I've seen almost every part of Korea, if not once, twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have our places that we like. And every time I talk to another Korean, they're like, "Oh, have you tried hiking this area?" And I'm like, "No, what
Next
is that?
weekend.
Can you send me the pin?" Yeah,
Sure,
actually, we're going next week.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is a hidden treasure in Korea that you and your family enjoy?
So we really enjoy outdoors.
Yeah.
I tell this to everyone, it's not a joke. We are allergic to our house. As much as we love the house, we're not the type to sit down in the house and watch a movie. It's just not going to happen.
Oh, okay.
Unless it's like something monumental and you have to just do it together. So we're always out and about. If it's raining, we try to figure out somewhere where we could be like inside a building or, something like that.
Like mini adventures. all the
Mini
time,
adventures, absolutely. I'm a big believer of long weekends. In Korea, I mean, you could get from south to north in 6 hours.
Yeah.
You could do a long weekend trip. You just got to
Sure,
be
sure,
willing
sure.
to do the research, go to your destination. And so, yeah, we've been traveling and I don't know. I think my favorite is. I really like the Bosang green tea plantation.
Sure. The
little
tiered
terrace-looking things.
Yeah.
Those are really nice. We've done the 4 tallest mountains hiking-wise.
Cool.
And hiking is nice and all, but I think when you're more into the cultural stuff, I prefer those. Like we went to Endong 2 years ago. We watched the whole mask dance.
Sure.
And we did Kimchi Festival.
Nice.
We did up north. We did the trout fishing festival.
Yeah,
That was
winter.
interesting.
Cool.
So like those
When you're
kind of
hiking, then you
things.
just got to get into the makgeolli and the Pajang guys there. They make it pretty
Yeah,
traditional.
yeah.
Can you get up and down with 3 bottles of makgeolli in you?
We actually can, but can we get down? Period. So
Are you guys full on? Have you adapted the Korean hiking style with poles and bright purple jackets?
we're
and
very
bear
hard
whistles?
to conform.
Amazing.
I have my yoga pants, my not hiking boots, like comfortable shoes, a
As you
light
should.
jacket.
Yeah. We're not climbing Everest. are we?
No. We try to go as light as possible, but a lot of water.
That's yeah. When you climb there's a mountain over here we've climbed 100 times, and we just walk up with shorts and you look like, oh, so
Basketball
you got
shorts and
Yeah,
your
and
runners,
everyone's
whatever.
you got an
looking at
80-liter
like,
backpack.
yeah.
What are you doing, man? You staying here all
My
week?
favorite's the bear bells.
Oh yeah, I love the sign.
Watching out for you.
Beware of wild boars, and I say to myself, can I just once see it? Just one.
Did you
time.
see it on the news
No,
yesterday?
no, where?
It was on the news running through an apartment, got hit by a taxi. And
Wow. So I
because
don't
it
even have
wasn't
to go
because it was an
hiking.
accident. It's on Ulsan Mail, I think. It was an accident. They did the outline
Oh my
of the
lord,
dead pig body.
That's great.
But they
They drew a chalk
Yeah,
outline of the
chalk
dead pig?
yeah.
they got his
That's
little
so
tusks.
cool.
They sent 2 fire trucks, 6 wildlife guys, because there's a pig running around
For a barbecue
in Namgu
or-
here somewhere.
Wow.
Oh, no way.
Hilarious. And I was coming back from Munsu one time with my daughter, and one of them came down that hill, and we almost hit it. The guy in front of us slammed on the brakes, and I was like, "What are you doing?" Wah! And then I saw this pig squeak right under the guardrail, and I went,
Wow.
"Whoa!"
No way.
We're not lucky
But
enough to see.
yeah, they've been a myth for a long time, but it looks like they're getting much more common now.
They show up in the noodle house, in the guksu gyps too. They just come in, just knock everything off the tables and run out, scare the
That's
shit out of everyone and
awesome. I
bounce.
haven't seen one yet, man.
I'll send you a video. It's the fun. I've never
I
seen
live
one
in a
live,
rural
but
neighborhood.
so funny.
I would love to.
Hold on, have you ever seen a kangaroo or a wallaby?
Yeah, in the zoo.
Oh, Nate had one run through his class one day.
No,
That was the
no.
craziest thing. Also, it was the programs they have like for kindergartens. They bring animals to the
Yeah.
kindergarten, let them pet or whatever. I thought I was on mushrooms. I was getting ready for a class. There's a front door and a back door. It's the community center of a big apartment block. So I was doing a class for women there, and I just had the doors open so the air could flow. And I was writing something on the board, and nobody showed up. It was 10, 15 minutes early. I turned around, and there was a bloody kangaroo running through my room, and I was just frozen. Like,
We had
What
young
am I-
kids. He wasn't sleeping much. He's like, what the hell
looking
happened?
at? And I went running out the door, and it was ripping down the side.
Wow.
And I saw the Gualia Ajashi, and I said, "There's a kangaroo!" And he's like, "Crazy wig again. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Anyways, and then the ladies came, and I was like, "Ladies, you will never believe this. There was a kangaroo jumping through. Nobody was looking for it. It wasn't lost. Nobody said that I lost a kangaroo. Did you see it?" And then
Sure, it was
And
a
then-
real one.
it was a wallaby, yeah. And then the news guys came, and they put all the CCTV films on the news that night, and they came and interviewed me. But they see it running through the parking lot, and if they found it 3 days later sleeping behind a bush,
Oh.
and they put a thing out: "Watch out, beware of a loose." What do they call wallaby?
So where did it come from?
Anyways, it was that there's a kindergarten or a
And so they
daycare
brought it
center,
to pet it?
But the zookeeper guy or whoever, the pet cafe guy, whatever it was, he wasn't looking for it. There was no pet cafe truck. It escaped from somewhere nearby.
Wow.
And it was just, and it came right
wild.
through the community center place. And I went,
That's so cool.
what? I was absolutely floored.
Yeah, I haven't seen any wildlife here loose.
Anyways,
The little snake.
here.
Oh, wow, the boar.
Yeah. I'll show you the video after.
Oh,
But
so
That's hilarious.
they got the choco light.
That's really cool.
Oh my
they
god.
have the video of him running through the bush. And there he goes, and everyone's panicking. Anyways,
That's a big boy.
yeah. I would love to maybe not. I mean, we do a lot, but I kind of guess with a Korean wife, we're probably a little bit more Korean or naturalized than you guys maybe to the Korean culture and the study habits and stuff. What about the kids' homework?
So
And they play sports. What other extracurriculars? Like, are you not tied down on the weekends? Where I think of families at home and everyone's busy on the weekends. How do you have?
So we have a shared calendar. That's number one. Step number one. So I'm the one that puts in all the important dates, sports, whatever. So not only do my kids do sports in school, but we also do our own sports. We play ultimate frisbee,
Yeah.
and now my kids are old enough and they've been playing for a while, so they're also joining the league. And so now, yes, we are busy. Who has a birthday? Who has, school's competition? Who has frisbee? Who has whatever, just a relaxing weekend, or we want to go somewhere. So we have a shared calendar. Homework-wise, our school believes that the homework is not where, like, when we grew up, we had to sit there and do problem solving and whatever. They have them read 20 minutes of a book, let's say it's in English. If something that you were working on in class, you did not finish, that's what they ask you to finish, which is no more than 10, 15 minutes if you're paying attention.
But if you finish, you get to go for mini weekend vacations everywhere.
Exactly. So my
So you
kids
finish.
almost never come home saying, I have homework to do, hours.
I gotta send my kids out.
If it's something, it's maybe half hour tops.
Yeah.
Like my daughter sometimes says, she's in 8th grade now, middle school, I have some homework I need to finish. Half hour, she's done. If they have to study for a test, they got the routine down. They do it on the bus coming home, and the bus, the morning of the test.
That
The
is
morning of the test.
Yeah, as most
optimizing for success there, man. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
I
so
feel
I
bad.
told them, pay attention in class. You don't gotta sit there and bang your head
I mean, that's how
against
we
the
did.
book.
That's how we
That's
did growing
right.
up.
And how do you? I don't remember the odd time you got in trouble. Sticks out in my brain or whatever. But in general, we played after school until dinner, and maybe had a fake 10 minutes of homework after that. But how do you feel? I'm sure I know the answer to this. How competitive they are academically, or even not academically, just globally as young students. With I mean, I guess for context, in comparison to the Koreans who are going to academies every night till
Absolutely.
8, 9, 10 at night.
So IB program, it's not like 100% like we're used to, or ABCs. It's 1 through 8, and they tell
That's
you
a PYP.
The PYP, MYP, yeah. So 1 is the worst and 8 is the best. And the teachers tell you, you will almost never get an 8 unless you do something amazing.
Sure.
So from the beginning, when my kids started 2nd grade and 4th grade, I said, I will not accept anything less than 5 in middle school and elementary school. And they're like, Mom, 5? Really? It's like above average. I'm like, yeah, 5. Like, hands down 5. I don't care what you have to do. I want a 5.
Yeah.
Every single class. And that has been my thing. Every time they don't give me a 5, there are repercussions. For example, we don't do road trips. We don't go to sporting events that we always go to. We're big fans of Hyundai Tigers and Mobies.
Nice.
So those little things are minus because you're not giving me the 5s.
Sure.
Not that, they're not into video games and all that. So I can't take those away. It has to be something that they look forward to.
Sure.
When they get to high school and upper middle school, I raised it. I said, now I want a 6. They're like, well, why do you want a 6? I said, because when you are in high school, you're a little more mature, so you could give me 6s. And it looks good in school.
Sure.
And it's good for college. So I said, I want 6s. Anything below that, again, there's repercussions.
What is the average middle school, high school?
Probably 5.
5.
But I want a 6. Sometimes they give me an 8, and of course we praise them. We have a shared chat, and I always get the email of the grade, and we share it, and we say, great job, whatever.
Awesome.
But they don't get anything extra for 6s and 7s and 8s. It's okay. Now we resume our lifestyle. If it goes below that, then
Hey.
My dad was getting the emails about the 3s and the 4s.
yeah, no, you don't.
That's
you don't
awesome.
want me
That's
to
a
get
good-
these in 4s.
That's a good. That's a really good approach, man. I like that.
Yeah, I tell them, I said, your only job until you get to college is to give me good grades. Everything else we will provide for.
Yeah.
All the traveling we do, all the
Food,
whatever,
dishes, whatever,
food,
yeah.
whatever it is that you want. I mean, for
That's
God's
really
sake,
nice.
we went to FIFA last November
Yeah.
by chance because we had friends there and they're like,
Yeah.
we have, we could get tickets. Do you want to come?
Well,
so-
Nicholas, he
Yeah.
only got a 4, so I
4.5,
think we're
you're staying home.
That's right.
Sorry, buddy.
You're-
That's right.
But I kind of run like that in our household. But I also, there's some things you just don't want to miss out on. And
No, you got to be disciplined, man. You have to be disciplined.
I don't like when it affects my if I want to go to the Korea-Iran game or whoever's
Yeah.
playing here and we got 4 tickets, how do you renege on 4 tickets? And going to Canada in the summer, how do you renege on those? Like, that's
You
pretty...
got to figure it out. You got to figure it out. You got to figure it
Well,
out.
But I
gonna
think
sit
as they
first.
get a little bit older, it's much easier to... They understand.
That's right.
I mean, Lena's only 7 years old. That's...
You got to start early.
Yeah,
Then it gets easier. Now it's a breeze.
Yeah. I think we've
Yeah.
done pretty good training between the two of us. But
Yeah.
probably still a lot of work to do.
Discipline is number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I mean, your kids are. Well, I think part of your thing too is community involvement.
Absolutely. I'm very big on that. So, when we were coming to Korea, I said, so we have no family there. You do understand, right? And they're small enough. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But as they got older, they saw the friends that we made. And some of them, okay, they come and go, whatever. But there's like a handful that you're always keeping in touch. And if there's an emergency, you always call them. So I told them, we don't have family members here. So some of those people that we chose to be friends with and share our whatever is a weekend, whatever, they're our family.
Right.
So that kind of helped as well,
Absolutely. I'm just saying before we started here, your son put in some serious hours at the Global
Yeah.
Festival last time. He was there the whole time. He didn't leave.
Yeah.
He didn't leave. He didn't leave his post the
yeah.
whole time, man.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
yeah.
But even living in the States or Canada, I mean, my family, for example, with 5 kids, but it's spread all the way across the country. Mm-hmm. My brother's got nobody in
Exactly.
Calgary. There's nobody. So
Yeah.
when I think, and they say, don't you miss home? And it doesn't necessarily mean to be better at home. I might be just as isolated because...
Exactly, because
and
they
that's
have
where
their own routine.
That's where your friends and your supporting network and, everybody's your uncle.
That's right.
We had a lot of those guys growing up.
Yeah,
Uncle
yeah.
John, he's like, well, how's he your uncle?
He's
Is he
not.
your mom's brother or your dad's brother? He's just a friend.
He lives 3 doors down.
Yeah.
He's one of those uncles. Okay, I get it. I
So
get it.
we adapted that, and that's why when I ask them, hey, they need a volunteer for whatever, they're not like, oh, really? Do I have to do it? No, they really oh, what's it about? What am I going to be doing? They're engaged.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's important for us.
That is awesome, man. And even for just your general life quality, I think getting out and mixing and mingling with the local people, man, that's what makes the expat experience.
Absolutely, you're living here.
Different,
Might as well, yeah.
What is there a network of friends that they have around their age? There's probably not too many that are the same ages, but is there a decent group of friends they have in Donggu or not really?
So they went to HFS, so they do have the few people that started there or left, came back, and all that, and some of the friends that I've made. So they do have a handful of people in Donggu, and like I said, because our school has grown so much, there are kids from his class that do live in Donggu, or from my daughter's class here in downtown also. So they do have friends here. Majority of them are in Busan.
Yeah.
But again, Korea's safe. I don't mind them hopping on the train and going to Busan. And, okay, Mom, I'm here. When I'm getting on the train or bus, whatever, I'll call you again. It's fine.
I love
trust
that.
them, and they make good decisions. So
We in the expat dad community, we often talk about what we're missing back home. Like we think about, when we were young, we did this. We had track and field days and after school sports and stuff like that. And in the public school program, especially middle school in Korea, it doesn't exist that much. Do you feel that there's anything missing? By raising your kids here and having them go to school here, do you feel you're missing something by not sending them to school in New York? Like if you were raising them in New York, do you think there would be something extra that they could get? I mean, not to take away all the benefits that it has here, but what do you think is the Or something maybe they wish they had that you wish you could
because
instill?
my kids are very sport oriented, I think the options for sports is limited. So it's great that our school has so many after school activities, but they have this competitiveness in them, and you could only do 3 sports competitively, plus 4 are frisbee. Whereas in America, like my daughter, for example, when she was growing up, she loved gymnastics. The only place I could take her was down here. And it was too late. And they wanted me to come 5 days because there's nothing like, you can't do a fun activity. It has to be competitive. But I'm like, she's 5. She doesn't care. She just wants to, learn how to do a front flip. So she taught herself watching YouTube on her bed. And she's like, okay, Mom, I don't need to go to gymnastics. And then luckily when we transferred to ISB, there was a teacher there who offered like cheerleading, gymnastics kind of thing after school. Not competing, but it was good enough. So I think sometimes those little things, like at one point my son really enjoyed baseball, but here again, you can't really do baseball the way we do it back home. Or even soccer, you only do it with other schools. Whereas if you do after school curricular activities in the States, it's more clubs, right? You belong to a club and you travel and whatever.
Lots belong to both.
Absolutely.
Where do you think that sports background comes from?
Oh, definitely my husband and I.
Yeah.
The competitive is more my husband. I enjoy sports, watching them, doing them, but he's more of, like a competitive kind of guy. He always played sports throughout school. I played volleyball and in high school. We both did Taekwondo. That's how we met.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
In the States or?
In the States, yeah.
Oh, it must have been.
안녕하세요.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's how you got to Korea. That was the.
It was destiny.
We found it.
It was destiny.
We found the seed.
So yeah, definitely from us.
Do you guys find, I don't know if other sports, but through Ultimate at least, or there's Koreans at the school too, right?
Absolutely.
So does your son or daughter or you guys find that the levels of competitiveness are so different? Like my guys at hockey, the guys just think the first 2 periods, whatever happens, but the third period, we are not going to lose a game ever. And that's when I turn the mode on and we're going to win now. And they'll say, Nate will pass the puck for 2 periods, but in the third period, he'll never pass the puck. But that competitive nature is just missing here in every sport that I've tried and done. It's, just be gentle, or it's just for fun, or
I thought it was the opposite.
When I was playing, when I was teaching in elementary school, there's Wednesday volleyball. The teachers play Wednesday volleyball, and every 2 months there's a tournament.
That's right, yeah.
But every time I would go, and they'd be like, "Okay, please tell Nate to use like 60% power." I'm like, "Well, you guys are all using full. You can spike it off my head, but then everyone's scared of." Godzilla, or like, come on. But it's always been, and I'm not the smallest guy, but if we're playing, let's play.
Yeah.
And if you can't play, then maybe you shouldn't be out here. But I always found that the competition lacked here. That competitive nature.
You're like Billy Madison smashing all the kids at recess.
But if you're going to play, you're going to play. Right?
I grew up where losing wasn't an option. It was just everything you do. And it drives my wife crazy, but we play to win. Let's hit badminton things in the park. Okay.
Spike.
Come on. Let's do
spike
a little
it.
better.
So again, my husband is very competitive nature. And so I think both of my kids kind of like that. Yeah, get that from him. So for example, my daughter's a captain, as I said, of her soccer team now. And she would come home after practice, and every day it's a ritual for dinner when we sit down because we're all home. You have to tell me what you did in school from first period until you get off the bus.
Sure. Yeah.
So, she's going through her whatever. In PE, let's say, Mom, we had this competitive dodgeball or whatever. And no one's even throwing.
Yeah.
She's like, you're supposed to get them out, not hand them the ball.
Yeah.
Or like she's a captain of the soccer team and she's like, they don't even like running. So then she goes, I would tell them like, so why'd you join the team? So it is in them, and they do strive to maybe not win all the time, but do their best. And it bothers them that other kids don't have the same mentality.
Yeah.
It's much more passive, and that's my biggest thing here. Whenever even coaching the kids, and I'm like, why come here if you're not here to kick someone's ass. Like,
Yeah.
what are you coming for?
Yeah.
You're wasting mom and dad's time, and you could be on your phone or something, I guess. It's
So that is lacking.
being really competitive is one of my problems being in Korea because
when you guys were talking about competitiveness, I was thinking immediately about like the soccer leagues and stuff, and like aren't they like hyper competitive where the kids like what Dano's kid
At a
would be doing?
professional level, not at the middle school, high school level.
Oh, okay. So we're talking just like regular PE
Yeah, like
class?
regular,
Oh, okay.
like even after school, it's competitive, but not the way like the U.S.
Oh my
is
God,
competitive.
But I don't think people are upset when they lose here.
That's right.
When I lose, I'm livid.
Yes, my husband's like
but-
cranky for a whole week.
But I'm not a whole week. I just one day. Steve, you got to work on that. But when like you say, even like Okdong's got the soccer school and whatever, Mugadong has the volleyball school for the city or whatever. But even when they lose, it's like, we lost. I'm like, no.
Listen, in grade 8, we there was 4 classes and 2 were really competitive, and the 2 teachers were best friends. And the whole year, man, we talked like at track and field day, we're gonna win the relay race. It's done, and this was a whole year thing.
Yeah.
Man, I fell. I was the anchor. I fell. We were gonna win. I had to run 5 more meters. I fell 5
my
meters.
Lord.
Turning around, I'm still choked. I wake up screaming some nights like, no, I lost in 1998. And that's I don't think
they don't have that bug. I don't know what it is.
Except for studying. At the upper echelon of studies. The middle kids now, they understand. Before, everybody wanted to be top. Now I think 2/3 understand they're never going to be the top. But that top 1% or whatever, 30%.
Oh, that's what
they
it
go.
is.
They go bonkers.
But I don't want to discourage my kids of that. But like studying shouldn't be your life. You're a kid. You gotta enjoy these things.
There's more. There's more to life than that.
definitely
Yeah.
more.
But they're also not Korean.
That's right.
And the
mentality
way
is
the
different.
society's structured, that you have to get this score to get into this company to get a secure job
That's
and
right, yeah.
salary. So it's also, they have a huge advantage where they don't have to succumb to those pressures. Where
true,
I
yeah.
still think it's gotten a lot better from the times when we got here ages ago, but the pressure is still there.
Absolutely.
I think now the kids are now more well-traveled, more open-minded, more global, and they understand there's another way.
That's right.
So the top kids are competing with the top, but the consequences are dire if you don't.
Absolutely.
If you commit to all in and you don't get it, number one suicide for youth in the world.
That's right.
And that's the
what
other
it
side
is.
of it, which is I'm angry when I lose, but you're not. You don't go overboard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree
That's
with the
because,
balance.
probably too because you're not practicing for 15 years to play one game.
Yeah.
You're getting mini games all the way through.
Yeah.
It's not all coming down to
Yeah,
the
it's
suit.
different mentality for sure. Yeah.
So in your first couple of years here, did you guys start traveling right away? I mean,
yeah.
one of the beauties here is that you're so close to, I think like when I go home and talk to family and friends, it's like Jamaica, Mexico, Cuba,
Yeah.
Jamaica.
Aruba. Yeah.
And I feel like they're all kind of rinse and repeat the same thing. But here you're close to a lot of different stuff. 4 or 5 hours, you can get to a lot of places. Europe maybe would be similar where you have so many options. But here I think it's a great thing that it's relatively reasonably priced and you're close enough to a lot of different cultures and places that you can get to. So what was it like in the first years? Maybe talk us through a few trips or decisions and how you choose where to go and the planning process until... Was this your biggest trip recently, this summer?
That was our biggest.
Or longest
every
and-
summer is our biggest trip.
But
But yeah.
They get longer every summer?
No. The time wise, but maybe we squeeze in more places.
Oh, okay.
Because they're older, right?
Yeah.
So what was it like when you finally got out of the States and you're here and...
So the first thing we wanted was, obviously my kids were 3 and 5, so I knew that getting on the plane is not the best idea with small kids. Not that they were bad on airplanes or anything, but it's just, it's not fun when you have cranky kids
Sure.
and jet lag and whatever. So we said, okay, let's do some road trips within Korea. And even before in America, when my husband and I were dating, we would do long trips. Like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If Monday was a holiday, we would just drive. I think we did all of East Coast. Some of, definitely when we lived in California, we did all up and down. So we were in the mood for like a 3-day thing. And we kind of pushed that over to our kid when we had the kids. We're like, okay, short trips, but we're going to see a lot. Yeah. So we got here and I started doing research. What's around here? Where can we drive to? And then where we're going to stay? Because, it's different here. They don't have as many, what we call hotels, proper hotels. They're like love motels or pensions or whatever. Yeah. So we did some research.
A few surprises.
Yeah. The vibrating. So as long as you plan and you know what your kids like, you can do any trip anywhere in the world. So I knew, and I made a deal with my kids. I said, when we go on vacations, when they were small, I would say one day we will do what mommy and daddy want to do. One day we will do what you and your brother want to do. That way it's even. Yeah. Or if we don't have enough time, we do half day mommy, daddy's and half day yours. Either morning or afternoon or whatever. And I always kept the sleeping schedule the same. Because if you get off that, even on vacations, then your whole vacation is screwed up.
Solid.
So we're like, okay, from this time to this time. So I got them used to itineraries. I would say this is what we're doing at this time. And then we have free time. We could figure out something maybe we like to do more. And then bedtime is whatever. It worked. It's been working. As they got older, I just extended the stuff. Awesome. Or maybe I don't have to bargain with them with the mommy, daddy stuff and your stuff. We kind of incorporate it together. Yeah. And it's wonderful. It's fun, yeah. Next year she wants to help me plan. My daughter.
That's awesome. How did the trips change from 3 and 5 years old to more recently? You've been over most of Southeast Asia, lots of Europe, lots of different places. How did the trips and the planning and stuff change? I know for me, for example, the kid, like you say, when they're young, it was kind of like Thailand, Singapore, Philippines, places we're comfortable with, 4 or 5 hours on a plane, but nothing too wild or crazy or big. But last year we decided they're ready now and that's why we did the Central Asian trip for 5 weeks. And it was a learning experience for all of us. But I think we would all agree that we're capable of doing it in something else, and that kind of a road trip, multi-country, multi-city thing.
Absolutely.
How did it change for you guys from the Korean road trips to Vietnam, Japan, China, and then further?
So I think when the kids are small, what do they enjoy? The beach. Yeah. They want the pool. They want the aquarium. They want the zoo. They want something that makes noise. Maybe some sort of a show with lights and stuff. So, for example, when we went to, where did we go? I think our first trip was maybe Thailand. And I was like, hey, kids, we're going to go to this ancient city. It's how you bring it to the kids, right?
It's the pitch. It's in the pitch.
Yeah, you can't just say, we're going to go to Thailand. We're going to see temples. And then be like, what? No. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, we're going to go to the city. It's called the Forbidden City. So now you're setting the stage. And I'm like, and all the Buddha's heads are chopped off. So already in their mind, they're like,
you were using GPT
cool.
10 years ago.
Right? This is so cool. So when we got there, is it hot? Yes, it's hot. Is it a long ride? Of course it is. And then the park itself, but they want to find this headless Buddha.
Sure. Yeah,
And then, again, I said, this is what we're going to do in the morning. And then when we come back, we're going to be in the pool for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Awesome.
But here's the trick. You tell them, you start whining on my time, you're not getting your time.
Oh, beautiful.
You're getting more of my time. So once it happens twice, maybe they test you, but then it's smooth sailing because they know the deal. When they get older, I want them to experience what they're learning. For example, 2 years ago, I think it was, we went to Greece and we spent 6 weeks there. And the year prior to that, in social studies or something, my son was learning about Greek mythology. And I said, perfect. We're going to go to Greece. We're going to go to Olympia. And you're going to see where the Olympics started, again, sport-oriented. Yeah. And you're going to see all these, like Delphi with all the gods and all this and this and this and this. So now you're taking them to these museums, whereas before it's like, Mom, I don't want to go to a museum. Yeah. To where they're actually standing there and reading, about a god or something, and they're engaging. And so now I don't have to bargain with them. Okay, now we're going to go to the beach or the pool because they actually want to go to the museum.
They're engaged.
They want to go to the Acropolis, the Parthenon, whatever it is. They want to see it. They want to be part of it.
And part of the IB curriculum too is connecting your thing to real life, right?
Exactly. So
that's awesome.
I've always tried to put some sort of a learning experience that they've gone through the year. Okay, let's figure out something we could do in the summer or in the winter that they could relate to.
That's a really important part of vacationing. I think is to take something away that it's not just beach and beers or whatever.
Yeah, and it's also like you say, it's the way you pitch it. If you say we're gonna go to Greece and period, and not hype it up somehow where it would interest them, then they're not gonna appreciate it.
I saw an interesting, I think it was an Indian family, and they might have been in the States, and they were, I think the parents had quit their jobs, or maybe they had online jobs or whatever, and their kids might have been late elementary or early middle school, and they would choose, similar to you, they would choose some destinations with the next destination, and I think once a week, their kids had to research a place that they wanted to go, and it was almost like a shark or like a kind of pitch, Shark Tank pitch. Like, Mom, we should go here. This is what we can learn. This is what we can see. And I mean, they're learning all about it. If you want to make, it's kind of like that indirect learning where they need to learn it because they want to go there. So, and the brother and the sister would make their pitch, and then the family votes. Where do you want to go? Which is pretty cool.
That's how you get to learn without thinking about it. Because they want to
read.
learn.
Yeah,
exactly.
You light that fire inside.
How cool is it when we went to Greece and we went to Olympia? My daughter and my son and my husband actually raced the exact same thing, the distance that whatever back then when they first did it. Yeah. I mean, they could say I ran right on the same grounds.
When that comes up in school too, they're like, "Oh shit, I've been there."
Exactly.
I did that. Yeah.
Well, that's what I find having the multicultural kids. I mean, when they're reading in the books, Toronto and CN Tower and New York, they were just in New York, and all these things like, "Oh, I know that," and then they say something about Canada, or they're like, "Is that true?" And they feel special. I mean, sometimes they feel weird and different, but other times they feel that their uniqueness is a strength.
Absolutely.
We were watching Ninja Turtles the other day.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like downtown New York, and my kid's like, "What? What is that?" I'm like, "Yeah."
It's really cool. Really cool. Actually, my daughter did she had to research, I think it was architectural something in one of her classes, maybe design classes. And she chose Alhambra in Spain. And the teacher goes, "Why did you choose that?" She's like, "Because I was there last summer. And I can actually tell you in detail what I saw versus me spending countless times on the computer looking or whatever. I could just look at Mom's pictures and I could tell you,
How something like the World Cup, you guys were at the Olympics, not justifies the wrong word, but how do you, if for instance your daughter says, "Well, I don't care about the World Cup," I mean, I don't. Again, it's in the pitch, and Korean, my international students at the university say, "Well, I don't like soccer." I'm like, "Have you ever been to a World Cup stadium? This is not about the soccer. It's about the atmosphere, the environment, and the cultural experience that goes along with it. Have you ever been to a professional basketball game? I hate watching baseball. I don't know how the Americans can watch 300 games a year and watch paint dry. But if you go to Sajik and watch the Giants, you'll be wanting to go again 2 weeks later.
It's an experience.
And I'm not. I grew up playing ice hockey. I hate football, soccer. But when I moved to Africa, they didn't have anything except football. And then there it was like a religion. And if you were from outer space. If you didn't know anything or you didn't follow the team or whatever, didn't have all the clothes every Sunday. So that became like my church was getting ready for the football games with all these guys. And you feel a part of something. But it's more cultural than it is the actual sport. I'm still not a huge fan of soccer. But the passion when the national team's playing against Japan in the Asia Cup finals. And it's just, and I guess loving sports, but for your daughter, for instance, is that just, again, the selling the narrative of what it's like? Or, I mean, if my daughter hated football and I said, we're going to the World Cup, I'd be like, you're so lucky. Nobody gets this chance.
So here's the positive and the negative. So when
sorry, one more. The Olympics was like minus the coldest
Yeah.
I've ever felt in Korea when we were up there and the kids, my wife was frozen. I was like, but it's the Olympics. We're never going to get another chance. And like, I've waited my whole life to go to the Olympics. It was so freaking cold.
Yeah.
And I had my kids bundled up and they were young. But I was like, but now reflecting, it's all worth it. It's always worth it. But go ahead.
So when we found out about the World Cup, we had just come back from our big Spain vacation. I think we spent 6 weeks there between Spain, a little bit of France, and Portugal. We had friends there. And the same family that we spent summers with, they live in Qatar. They were moving there that August. And September, 3 weeks later, after we came back, she's like, I got tickets to World Cup. None of my family members want to come from America. Do you guys want to come? Because she knows, Steve and my son. I'm like, of course. I didn't even ask when it was. I said, absolutely.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
You have to watch Canada. No America games. You got to watch Canada and cheer for them.
So when I said, okay, we're going to FIFA, my daughter goes, what? I'm going to miss school. She is very like on point, on target. She has to get things done. She can't miss any tests. And for like a second, the three of us, my husband, my son, and I, were like, what? Like, but
You're voted off the island.
yeah, I'm like,
Do you know what we just pitched to you?
Do you understand where you're going? And we've been to the Olympics. So then, we were talking about it, and she's like, I'm going to miss school. And I was like, I'm sure your teachers will understand. I'm sure you could make up time. And okay, granted, it was 3 weeks that we were going to be gone because we had the quarterfinal ticket, and we were not going to miss a quarterfinal. Like, I don't care if you failed the entire year.
See, you do have to compromise sometimes.
Yeah. So okay, she goes, okay, I'm going to go to one game maybe. We have tickets to 4. And she's like, maybe 2 at the most. Because now she's still like huffing and puffing about this. And so we get there. She goes to the first game and she's like, oh my God, this was so cool. Can we go to another one? I'm like, you only agreed to 2 games. So we're not going to tickets. But anyway, the resells and everything, they ended up, I went to a 4 games that I wanted to go to, but they ended up going to like 7 or 8 games. Wow. Because just the way it was set up, you could have gone to 2 or 3 games in the same day.
Oh, wow.
Because it's so small.
I was going to say, the biggest benefit of that one was it's
everything
right there.
Was there.
The next
like
one's
9, 12 stadiums.
Next one's Vancouver, Toronto,
3
Houston, New York,
literally,
Mexico City. Good luck.
So she was like, she was kind of like, I don't want to go. And then like, I want to go. And then I said, okay, I think we need to have the talk. And my husband said, what talk? I'm like, those little brats. They are spoiled. Number one, because, thank God we are capable of taking them on a short notice to something like this. Right. Number one. Number two, thank goodness we have friends who, again, were nice enough to offer us these tickets. But all she was thinking is, I came to school, which is great, right? As a parent, you're like, great. Right. But at the same time,
zoom out, honey.
I don't want her to think, school's important. But like once in a lifetime FIFA with your friends. Yeah. It's not like just mom and dad. Yeah. You're going with people that you know.
Yeah.
In a foreign country. Like sometimes the expat kids cannot grasp that, all the benefits that we have here.
Yeah. I think often they probably it's overlooked until you're older and then you can reflect on it.
For sure. And sometimes you have to bring them back and you have to talk to them and make them understand. And I'm like, your cousins would die to go to anything half of what you went to. But
just leave North America.
Is crazy. Just leave the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Just leave New York. Forget North America. So then she kind of understood, and she was very appreciative. She went to Korea Ghana game with her friends that she grew up from Korea. Isn't that funny?
Wow.
And then we still in touch. So I think. Not that they were flying up high, but I think they realize how lucky they are and how lucky we are to have made friends all over the world. The situation, every timing, everything, right?
I think it's important as a parent to to let them know, listen, this is not
normal.
Not
This
normal.
is not normal. That's right. Like
My
all
guys-
of us are not normal.
My guys were complaining in Tashkent or Samarkand or someone. They're like, I just want to go home. And I was like, okay, we can go home. I can change the tickets. We can go home tomorrow and you go to Hagwons. Or, I mean, they don't go to Hagwons, but you could do what all your friends are doing and go to okay, we're all right. I mean, for 7 and 9 years old, 5 weeks in those countries is a long journey.
Yeah.
But as soon as I know, and even some parts hard on my wife, but I know once we get back, it's, we're back here?
Yeah.
Can we go back?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, now you understand, you'll appreciate. So I know even sometimes I got to bite my tongue, and not get frustrated because I know once they can reflect and put it in perspective, they understand how lucky it is and stuff. But
you have to keep telling them this
Right. Sure.
because they're not gonna always.
If not, you'll get some of the monsters that I teach. I think I've told it before, but I walked into a class one day. It's just 1-to-1. And the kid's like, just big, lip hanging down to his feet. What's wrong? Going to Hawaii again. I'm like, what do you mean again? He's like, I want to go to Singapore because they have the Lego that I like in Singapore, but Hawaii doesn't. I'm like, dude, how many times have you been to Hawaii? He's like, this is my 3rd time. Can you believe my parent? I'm like, dude, shut up. You have no idea what you're talking about, man. And I think that was kind of a failure on the parents' part to not alert them that some people probably for our parents' generation, it would going to Hawaii for a honeymoon was the coolest thing you could possibly do, man. One time in your life. This kid's been 3 times. And he's pissed because they don't have the Lego he wants.
Yeah.
Tina, did you write your diary?
And he's 9.
Diary? Well, you could be at home writing about the Grand Park, that we're at every other day. Or you can write about these amazing places we've been and riding camels and all this other crazy shit.
Yeah.
Get with the program. How do you encourage, foster the appreciation with the kids? I mean, mine are still, I think, a little bit young to appreciate as much as I want them to.
Just constant reminders.
But we go through pictures and stuff of past trips, and they start to realize I've been to 11, 12 countries. I'm really lucky. My friends have only been to 1 or 2, and I think they start to realize more. But how do you ensure that they're appreciating the experiences they get?
So the first thing I did when we came to Korea was, because we're here for 2 years, we didn't bring anything personal. So we brought nothing. We brought some of their toys they were playing with and our clothes. That's it. No furniture, nothing. Because 2 years, okay, you could go anywhere for 2 years. But then the 2 years became 4 years and 6 years, and I'm looking at my house and I said, I live in a hotel.
Yeah.
I said, this is not a home. I need to put something. I'm not really big on decor because I know I have to eventually take it back somewhere and I have a house back home. So I wasn't big on that. I said, you know what I'm going to do? Every time we take a trip, I'm going to take 1 or 2 pictures and I'm going to put it on a canvas because they last long and I'm going to hang it up. Since day one, that's what we've been doing. So when you walk into my house in the living room, there are canvases all around my house with all the trips that we've taken.
Awesome.
On top of that, I make albums, hardcover albums, and I have them right on the coffee table. So anytime you're sitting there, you're bored or whatever, it's in front of you. You're gonna pick it up, no matter what. So
Every
they have
time
that
someone's whining,
visual. Yeah, they have the visual on the walls.
Think
They
again.
have
That's awesome.
the albums or whatever, and we always tell them. We are very lucky. Just the position that we're in. We are in Asia. Everything is close to us. Everything's pretty much affordable. We're not 5-star kind of hotel people because I'm only there to sleep. I want to see what's out there.
Great.
Sure.
Like I said, we're allergic to our house.
Good motivation to get out.
Yeah, so we're allergic to the hotel rooms. The quicker we get out, the better for us because there's so much to do.
Sure.
So I think you just have to keep telling them until they come to their own realization, wow, I had a wonderful, upbringing, 10, 15 years from now when they look back and they're like, yeah, I've been to those places.
Maybe before getting into the most recent big trip, could you have imagined this growing up in New York? And even maybe, getting into college and uni years and stuff. Did you ever think this would be the life having the opportunity to travel all over and do this stuff?
So I was born in Georgia. I grew up in Soviet times. And when I was 8, we moved to New York City.
Whereabouts in New York?
In Brooklyn.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I'm from Brooklyn. And when I got to Brooklyn years later, like I was in high school, I said, I am never leaving Brooklyn. I just loved it so much. I had tons of family who immigrated from Georgia. I said, my family's here. If I want to see anybody else, I could always go back to Georgia. Yeah. I love traveling, but I always want to come back to Brooklyn. Like it was like my city, my home, you know? And I remember saying that to everyone. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go travel, but I'm going to come back. I'm going to go travel, I'm going to come back. And then I got married and we moved to California. And I looked at my husband like a year into California and I said, we're never going back to Brooklyn.
Nice.
Like, you don't know until you get out, right?
Yeah.
And then we went back to New York for a short period of time. And then Korea itch came on. And now we're like, we are never.
Can't stop anywhere.
We can't. Not only back to America, forget living in America. It's out of the question almost. But like, I don't want to settle. Everyone's like, where are you going to retire? And we're like, who said anything about retiring?
Yeah.
Do you kind of feel like you gain the confidence that you can kind of make it anywhere now?
Absolutely. Hands down.
Like there's always going to be good people, whether it's locals or
absolutely,
expat families, but you kind of get that
absolutely
swagger or mojo. Like, I don't care. Put me anywhere, man.
Anywhere.
I can get around.
Yeah.
No
so
problem.
I told my husband, I said, after the kids graduate and they're in college, take me to the moon. I don't care. Like, I've got this. I know what to do. I know.
The moon's going to be an option.
Yeah. I said, because I'm very outgoing. I'm not shy. I speak my mind. If you like me, you like me. If you don't like me, okay, see you later.
Brooklyn girl.
Yeah. But at the same time, I respect other cultures. I respect other religions.
Sure.
And I am able to coexist with them. So I have no problem being anywhere, really.
Just to play devil's advocate, don't you miss the pace of life in Brooklyn, or like the, walking down the street, stopping in for a slice of pizza, go downtown, you're looking at the Manhattan skyline, go for a walk over the bridge?
So I kind of do that here.
Okay.
Like, I do everything fast.
Ulsan Daegyo is not quite Brooklyn Bridge.
Absolutely. The sites are not the same, but they're the same.
Okay.
It's just different, you
Okay.
know? Like,
same but different.
Yeah.
This is
same,
summed up.
but different. Exactly.
Sums up my
Just
expat
appreciating
life.
where you are, right?
It's exactly.
It's a prolific t-shirt.
So when I was in New York, I loved the New York skyline. Like, I loved it. But here, you go out and you have, like, the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, maybe it's me, but sometimes when I'm looking at the ocean, there's ships there, many of them. But then, like, you imagine what's out there. You know, like, it's up to you to imagine what's out there.
I like it.
So, for me...
Ogopogo?
So, I think... I don't know. I'm okay with not being all the time there. And like you said about the slice of pizza stuff, there are things that you adapt what you think you like.
Stop it
here.
for a kimbap or
Yeah,
something.
stop for a gimbap or like dried squid or something. You know, something that's
I don't know if tried squid makes the cut. But
I
get it.
I was there for such a short time that I just really, I think, over romanticized the idea of living there and waking up and like, walking down the street, getting my coffee in the morning, someone beeping at me, yelling at them or whatever, It was,
So we go back for Christmas because my husband's one of 6, a huge family, and most of my family's there. We go back every year for 3 weeks. And we do all that.
That's the longest 27 days vacation ever, man.
Yeah, holy shit. I was going to sneak that in.
I'm already at like 66 days or something. Are you guys do different math or what?
3 weeks.
So we do all that. We get up and we have this drink we like. It's called Manhattan Special. I don't know if you've had it.
No.
Oh, it's only in Brooklyn, certain areas only. And
I don't wake up
that.
and be on the dumpster or something.
No. And we drink that. And then my son likes to go around the corner to the LMB, which is the best pizza in Brooklyn.
LMB?
LMB, right around the corner from our house.
Okay.
He goes there for pizza. We like the Chinese food, which is probably not even Chinese food. We like the certain Italian food or certain, crab house or whatever. And we do all that. And then we're like, okay, now it's time
Time to go. Okay. That's okay. I can see.
So we do all that, and then we're like, okay.
It's the same as me visiting back to my
Exactly.
hometown. Like, let's do all the hot spots.
So we get it. So we don't miss it that much.
Yeah.
Not enough to move back.
It's a really nice city, though.
It is.
I
You have
really
everything
enjoy it.
there.
Yeah.
Do you feel also that, like, part of my, why don't you go home, or when are you coming home, or when are you coming home? Well, I can go home anytime. Nothing's changing. It's there. It's going to be there. I know I can go there. So why settle and go back when there's so much more to explore?
Yeah.
Do you ever feel that like, well, it's there, and you go back? We go back every couple of years or something. But do you feel like that? It's always going to be there, and I'm not missing anything?
I think 3 weeks a year is more than
It's
enough
more
to
than
soak
enough
it up.
to
Yeah.
explore. So we used to go back every summer when the kids were small.
Yeah.
Okay,
More to do.
2 summers.
Yeah.
We went back 2 summers. But this is coming from my kids' mouths. The 3rd summer we were planning to go, both of my kids said, Mom, why do we have to go to America for the summer? I'm like, what do you mean? Don't you want to spend time with, cousins or whatever?
Can't we go to Angola? Okay.
So I'm like, well, what would we do? He's like, well, because when we go there, it's only like we only see them on weekends or like 4th of July because they have their own routine,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Versus us going back, we don't have a routine. We're like just nomads. Okay, we're here for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever. So he's like, why can't we just go another time and go somewhere else? And that's where the summer vacations came.
That's how
Different
I feel
destinations
going home. You're
every
kind of
time.
interrupting people's lives. Like,
Exactly.
we do our stuff, whatever, and you guys are here, and we got to kind of readjust everything.
Exactly.
Because you guys came from the other side of the world, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. And
Yeah.
I feel many times like we're interrupting what's their good thing or their routine.
So that's what he felt one of the summers we were there when he was very young. Because we always say, we have to go see grandma and grandpa. And he's like, yeah, but we only see them, like twice a week. When we go for Christmas,
Everyone's
off.
off 2 weeks.
Yeah, so we see them all the time. So then, we thought about it and we're like, that's a great idea.
It's a better vibe in Christmas, anyways.
Absolutely.
Go
Everyone's
around,
kinda cozy
festive.
and-
Yeah.
My answer to that was kind of like, let's get them to come here. Because then they're interrupting ours, but there's so much stuff to do. We have kind of flexible schedules a little bit, and there's so much to do, and it's new. We go home, nothing's new. I mean, it's just
But
for
how
my
many
kids.
people do actually want to come here?
But for my kids, it's fun and exciting and interesting. But for me and my wife, it's just sitting around hanging out. I prefer to be showing them stuff that they haven't seen before, or it's way out of their comfort zone. They're getting a wild experience, and it's not too big of an interruption for us.
So here's how I solved that problem. I had the exact same idea. I'm like, we go back to the same place for Christmas, the same place for New Year's. Like, we don't like to do the same thing.
Destination Christmas.
Yeah. So I said, great, let's do this. We know your family gets off, what is it, like 10 to 7 days, but we have 3 weeks. We're not going to just sit home and do nothing. So
these are the
now
pit
that-
stops across the Middle
That's
East on the way
right.
home.
So now when we go back, we're like, okay, the first week before Christmas, a few days before Christmas, let's go somewhere else. So last year we went to Tennessee.
Cool.
Is that the Smoky Hills?
The Smokies, yeah, we went there. We went to Gatlinburg.
Yeah.
So we said, why don't we just spend Christmas there? Why don't they come there? So, of course, they loved the idea. So we did our own traveling,
Cool.
Tennessee and whatever. And then they came there. We had Christmas. And then we drove back together, back to the East Coast, did New Year's in
Beautiful.
Virginia, another different place.
There you go.
And then we went to New York for a few more days to see my family. We flew back. So that is
Nice.
our new thing now. So this year, when we go back, my husband's youngest sister, is getting married. So we're already into a different country because she wants to get married in Dominican Republic.
Ah.
So that's our
Beautiful.
before.
Yeah.
And then in between, I said, well, I'm not going to sit home those 4 days before Christmas.
Cuba.
So that's next. We are doing Rhode Island.
Cool.
Yeah. So my husband and I did it when we were younger, but my kids have never done it.
Yeah.
And I want them to experience the freezing cold, fingers falling off kind of deal.
Ah, okay.
This is the old varieties of spice of life.
Yeah.
You're never satisfied doing the same thing over.
No, it's
Once you get
boring.
out and have a taste of it,
No.
Even the most exciting times at Christmas can get stale.
Yeah.
And you gotta spice it up with some gochujang or something.
And then for New Year's, we're gonna go to DC, and I want to take the kids to some of the museums. Now that they're older, like I said, they appreciate going to the museums. So we're gonna hit up 2 or 3 museums, and then get on the flight, come back.
Beautiful.
You recently embarked on a 7-week trip this past summer. Georgia, Turkey, Bulgaria, Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, Montenegro, Albania, Kosovo, Macedonia, Greece, back to Turkey and Georgia. Wow, sounds like something that's right up my alley. And I mentioned when I saw you on that trip, I was like, well, we should get her on. I mean, this is family travel. I think it's unique. You don't. The biggest accomplishment of our trip for 5 weeks this summer was, no divorce. Nobody hated each other. We stayed together. And I think that's so not challenging, but it's not easy in these current times. 24 hours a day with your wife or your husband, that challenges your relationship. It challenges the family dynamic. And there's going to be some ups and downs, but getting through this stuff is what makes us closer and appreciate the time in between the trips. Maybe tell us a little bit of what inspired this trip and some of the challenges you faced, some of the highlights maybe.
So as I said, we've been doing 2 or 3 summers now with the other expats that we have met here that we've gotten close with. So last year we actually started talking about the year before in Spain. We started talking about the past summer. And so I said, I really want to go back to Georgia. I like to go back every 2 years, alternate summer, winters. And my mom just retired from America, so she went back to Georgia. She has a house there, and she's happy there. So I wanted to go see her. And I said, we'll get to Croatia. We'll fly. And Steve goes, okay, I can't come the first 2 weeks because he had work stuff. He goes, but I will meet you somewhere. So he goes, your mom has a big car. She has a big SUV Acura. And he goes, what about if we drive there? I said, that's a great idea. But
road trip.
You just told me you're not going to be in Georgia. So it's me driving somewhere to meet you.
Yeah.
So he goes, yeah, we'll figure it out as we go. So I started planning and I mapped it out. It was 3,000 plus
miles.
Miles.
Oh my God.
From Georgia to Croatia. And
you guys ride the bus every day to Busan,
right?
You can do this.
You'll be all right.
It's like commuting 60 times in a week.
We have things that we do on road trips, like I said, because we've done so many here. We have podcasts we listen to. We do audio books. We do, when they were small, we did I Spy with my little eyes games and things like this. We had math games. We had trivia games.
Audiobooks
so
are
we know,
solid.
Yeah, so we know exactly what to do on long trips. That wasn't the issue. The issue is actually driving the distance, right? So I said, okay, let's do this. My mom, she's 70. She wanted to
come along.
Beautiful. I said, okay, great. Maybe 2 drivers. So we started with Georgia and we got to Turkey and it was a long drive.
Did you fly direct? No, you can't fly direct to Georgia. I don't
No, we stopped in Qatar.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we got
So you went
car.
without Steve?
I went without Steve. Okay. 2 weeks without him. Yeah. And I picked him up in Turkey. Now, every summer for the last 5 summers, his brother joins us because it is just show up wherever we are. Nino's got the itinerary and I follow. And then when I'm ready to leave,
he bounces.
Hey, I'm joining next summer.
So he's the fun uncle and he joins us every year. So he said, okay, I'm going to coordinate with
Sorry to the other uncles.
Sorry, they don't travel. So he goes, I'm going to coordinate with him and we'll meet you in Turkey. I said, great. So I mapped this, road that we want to take. We want to stay on main highways because we have to go through 9 border controls.
Yeah.
So then I kept asking all my friends. I said, how's the border control? I know that it could be hours. What's the best time? And so I got all that information. I mapped it out. I said, okay, Steve, we're going to go to this country. We're going to stay right here. It's 2 hours from the border. Then we're going to go to this country, see all this. So I planned everything out to the minute. that we're going to get there, what to do, what sights to see. You know, are we going to walk? Are we going to park? Are we going to take public transportation? Because this is all new to me, right?
Sure.
So then we said, okay, we need like SIM cards, right? Because you're going
connect.
through borders. They're not, some of them aren't so friendly. So you need each country, each one. So we did a lot of planning, and the kids helped, and we got in the car. We had no problems on any border patrol checkpoints.
Nice.
Smooth sailing.
Beautiful.
Some of them were outrageous, like in Bosnia and Albania border. It was insane. It was a queue, like kilometers queue, and all of a sudden, all these cars were shifting lanes to the oncoming traffic. And we're like, okay, I guess we follow them. And we went through. Nobody checked the passport. They just waved us in. And it was an experience.
The line's too long. Let them all in.
Just drive, Steve. Just drive. Follow the local people because we could see the license plates. And we met some friends along the way. Some of them, like I had friends in Bulgaria. They told us exactly where to go. Don't even, spend time going anywhere else. Go here, go here. Croatia, we met up with some friends that we met here, the other families. We did a whole
I was going to say, from the
Croatian
pictures, it looked like you had family in every place you went.
Yeah, almost, right? It's like
Which is
family.
also a benefit of living here and meeting
and knowing people.
everybody from all over.
Absolutely. These are my kids' classmates that they haven't seen in years, right?
Yeah.
So it's really nice to do these trips, and then it's a benefit if you know somebody that can meet you there or travel with you. I would say, though, if I had to go back to any of those countries and explore it further, Montenegro was my favorite.
Interesting.
My favorite. It's
Why?
a cute little... It's right by the water, the lake area. Yeah. Beautiful. I don't know. I'm sorry to say this to all the Albanians who's going to listen to this, but I was not impressed.
That's our number one viewership.
But we have those, right? I mean, you've been to a lot of places. I've been around.
Out of the 10 countries that we went to, Albania was the one country that I could say,
But that's also part of it. I make an analogy between like the world being a university and every country is kind of a different subject. And I'd like to try all the subjects. I don't know exactly which ones I'd like, and not just like high school. Dad says, just take it and see. Maybe you'll love it.
Yeah.
You don't know. And some you could pass on the second time around, and some you have to go back to, and some are just, that was a cool experience.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it. I'll recommend it, but I don't have to go back there again.
Exactly. That was Albania
And
for me.
it's also helping you appreciate the other ones that you do love. And to understand what you do like and do appreciate.
What you like in it, yeah.
Okay, that's not my favorite, and I know that. And if someone says this country is just like Albania, I'll say, oh, okay, maybe is there another one around that we can go to?
Yeah.
So I think it's also important to go to some of those ones that you take a pass on the second time, but it helps you get perspective.
Yeah, but at least you know, and you could judge it on your own and say, I don't like it because maybe I was in a wrong part. Maybe the South is prettier or it has better things to offer. But where I was, I didn't like it.
But I also found that if Montenegro is your favorite and Kosovo was awesome and Albania was sandwiched in the middle, it's a biased take on Albania because you had your two best countries on either side. Where I'm not saying that, but for me, traveling, like when you go to Mount Fuji, now Munsusan's not appealing to me.
Yeah.
When you go to Everest, then Fuji's not good.
Yeah.
If you're always looking for bigger, better, and to be better than the last, you're not going to find it. So you have to appreciate the other things.
I don't compare like that.
Yeah.
I kind of take the country for what they are on their own. So for me, the only reason I think Albania wasn't for me was it was a clean country, very hospitable, but I didn't feel the warmth from the people like I did in other countries that we've gone to.
Yeah.
Again, maybe I was in the wrong area. I was more in the north. But like I said, out of all the countries, Albania didn't rub me the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Greece, we did the south. We did the islands a couple of years ago, and now we did the north. I didn't like the north. I prefer the south.
Yeah.
I think even East, West, Canada, States.
Very different.
Italy, North and South.
Absolutely.
India, very different, North
Very
and South.
different. So maybe it's the same thing. So I'm not going to rule out Albania, but at least I'll know that I need to go south.
Right.
So it was cool. The reason why we chose Croatia, because we always have a theme, My husband and I were big Game of Thrones fans. Shocker. So we wanted to see the filmings, the hype, the little towns and whatever. Not mythical. What are they, like that old kind of vibe? And
Medieval?
We loved it. Medieval. Yeah, we loved it. And then, of course, my son's a Star Wars.
Okay.
And he found locations where Star Wars was also filmed in Croatia.
Interesting.
So everybody was in
They had their own
cloud
thing.
nine.
Cool.
Yeah. And my daughter just loves boats, and we rented boats, and she loves like jumping off cliffs and things like this.
Lots to do over there.
It was good for everybody. And when we went to Kosovo, actually, it was coincidence. There was a Nikola Tesla museum there. Now he's not from Kosovo, but whoever he gave his things to, I think his nephew or somebody, he donated the stuff to Kosovo. And it was his birthday the day we went
Bonus.
to the museum. And my son got interviewed on the Kosovo news or whatever.
Wow.
They're
What an experience.
Where are you from? And he's like, yeah, that's a difficult one to answer. So they wanted to know more because he's, from Korea, but he's not Korean. And so it was really cool to experience all of those different paths as we went by.
I think one of the pictures that stands out, I might be wrong, but were they at a national game for the Georgian football team or something?
Yes, we were at
that looked
the
like,
Euros.
if you can say that, like, my mom's Georgian, and so I'm kind of Georgian, and I feel... But it just looked like, again, one of those crazy football atmospheres. And to be among the...
Yeah.
I don't know if I think college sports in the States has some of that kind of like cultish following.
Yes.
NFL, I mean, it's just beer drinking, but it's not cultish like college sports is. That's what I can relate it to. But man, from being in Ghana, that's like your life is your football team.
Yeah.
But to watch them in those videos and those rallies, I was like,
That's a European thing, yeah?
I think it's a worldwide thing.
Yeah.
Soccer
In Africa, football is.
So it was Euros.
South America.
South America is crazy too. So it was Euros, and because we were the host, we automatically qualified for whatever rounds. And I didn't even know this, but we were in Georgia during that time. Complete coincidence.
Beautiful.
Wow.
My son saw this and he's like,
Planets aligning.
We have to go.
Nice.
So I'm like, sure. So, okay, Georgia's, the city I'm from is the capital, but somehow everybody knows everybody. Luckily for my son, my mom knew a man whose son was in charge of the fan section of the Georgian.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So he actually ditched me and my seat that I fought for, and he went straight to the fan section and he hung out. I think we went to 4 games with them, like in that craziness and whatever they do and chanting.
Wow.
And so, he really enjoyed it. And my daughter, my mom, and I, we were in the regular folks seating.
Cool. One picture that stuck out to me was it looks like you're in a backyard just eating dinner with the family.
Okay.
Yeah. Those when I talked to Serbian, there's lots of Serbian and Croatian immigrants, and when they talked about the old country, this seemed like a very deep part of the culture. Just kind of outside. Maybe you have an outside kitchen, or you're cooking outside, sitting down with family. Is that true in Georgia as well?
So some of my family members are still in the villages. That's where they grew up. That's where they're settled. They work there and everything. So we like to visit them, especially my kids, because I want them to see and understand that not everybody lives in a first world. Yeah. Not that they're lacking. Maybe they're lacking because they're like, oh, they don't have what we have. But they're okay with what they have.
It's just different.
Yeah. So, for example, for the longest time, they didn't have indoor plumbing for bathroom inside their house. They always had an outhouse. Yeah. So every time we went, my kids would say, "Oh man,
God damn it!"
It makes you appreciate the bathroom more. That's
bidet.
Part of it.
No bidet. Right? That's another story. Yeah. And then, or like for example, like water heating. They have to heat their water hours before they know that they have to shower because it's not instant like the way we have it here. Or like gas, for example, they have to start the wood fire or whatever fire to get the food going because they don't have, electric or whatever like we do here. So I kind of like that. And then on top of that, I'm like, okay, I don't want to sit inside. I want to sit in the yard. You have a yard. We don't have a yard here. We like to be outside in the nature. Let's set everything up, outside. And they have the means. They have the tables. They have the chairs. Maybe they're not the most comfortable, but who cares?
It looks beautiful.
It's so nice.
Beautiful.
But it's the nice deal. There's more than one way to skin a cat. I mean, there's many ways to be happy.
Exactly.
And when
they're completely happy.
When I reflect on my time in Africa, part of the ignorance is bliss. They don't know what now with the internet and smartphones. They do know. But when I was there 20 years ago, nobody knew what they were missing, and they were, in my opinion, way happier than people in Canada.
What are they missing?
Who had everything every day, all the time, and that comfort crisis, even that not far back. But they had minimal. They didn't have a lot of possession stuff, but they had community. They had family. They had friends. They had, they had life, and they appreciate that, and that was very apparent in just day-to-day life. We're at home. It's hard to get a hello now, and just put your head down and motor into work and hey. Yeah. It's just a different way, but contentness can come in many different forms. And I say, same reason for us for traveling is, these people are happy. They're very different than us. Absolutely. But they're happy. Yeah. And that means, we should appreciate what we have. And if you prefer something else when you're old enough, you can move to one of these places. Exactly. If you don't like cold winters, if you don't like this, but it's important to get a perspective.
Yeah. So one of the days we had one of the dinners outside somewhere, and my kids were like, "Oh, can we go get some fruit?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." There's
a tree right there.
Yeah. And in the beginning, when they were smaller, it was more like not a joke, but it was like something to spend time. I'm like, no, this is what they do when they want fruit. Like they have to go and seriously get it and pick it. Yeah. And so this year we were in a good timing where hazelnut trees were blooming and ready to get picked. So I had my son come with me and my daughter, and we were picking hazelnut trees.
Beautiful.
A lot of people don't realize how much work that is. Because some of the depending on what kind of tree it is, they have little tiny thorns on them.
Oh, wonderful.
And sometimes bugs like to go inside the peels. I don't know if you've seen a hazelnut the way it is. It's the shell, and then it comes into like a little leafy, like a covering. Yeah. So you have to peel that off.
I eat hazelnuts exclusively mixed with cocoa powder in Nutella.
So before it gets to all that goodness. So they picked it for me, and I said to my daughter, I said, okay, now we're going to crack them. And she's like, what? Yeah. She's like, they're not cracked already? I was like, no, we got to crack them. Yeah. So she didn't like the method of cracking. I said,
you guys use those two metal
things, but it's a lot of work because you really have to line it up. If not, you could, get your finger in there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I said, when I was small, I just had a little rock and I would sit on the floor and I would just chop, and then peel it. That's what we did for like 3 hours. Yeah. And out of 3 hours, I think maybe we got a bowl full. Yeah. And she's like, that's it. Yeah. That's what she got. We had new appreciation for Nutella sandwich. She goes, that's it? I said, now you know why hazelnuts are so expensive in the stores. Yeah. Because this has to be done.
Sure.
That's similar to what my guys sell in Central Asia there, and the walnuts, the almonds.
Yeah, the walnuts are.
And they're like, huh? Yeah. And even pineapple. Pineapples grow from the ground?
Yeah.
Huh? And I remember the first time seeing it in Ghana and going, whoa, I didn't know if there was pineapple trees or pineapple bushes. Yeah. I don't know, but then you go, whoa, now it makes sense. I mean, that's awesome. But the place we were staying at in Samarkand, he had grapevines, and every morning for the breakfast or whatever, it was like a guest house kind of place, and he'd go and pick the grapes. And my daughter say, "Can we help pick the grapes?" But all those things. And when we were up in the lake in Kyrgyzstan, they went to pick up the cow poop to burn in the fire that night and stuff. And going, Yeah, now you're learning. It's not just turn the heat on. You got to go fetch the cow poop,
That's right.
dry it out, burn it tonight, go milk the cow so we can make porridge for breakfast. And they were involved in the chores all the kids were doing. And yeah, such a great learning experience.
It's a really nice experience. And that's why, like I said before, we don't like to stay in the 5-star hotels. I want to be where the locals are.
Sure.
I want to see what they do. I want my kids to see what they do. I want them to understand that just because you have the means to go to a 5-star restaurant, you don't have to, because then you're not going to see what the culture is all about.
Yeah.
You always see these nice houses.
Give me the
and
greasy spoon. With
yeah. You need to be there, and you have to be doing what they're doing, and to really say, I've experienced the culture.
I agree.
How do they adapt to the food?
Oh, they're fine. We are big probiotic people. Since they were small, especially coming to Asia, it's a different cuisine. Yep. And I know, they're not used to it, fermented. So since they were small, I always gave them vitamins and probiotics and fish oil. That's our, go-to stuff. Yeah. Even today, every morning, every evening, they need to take their stuff.
But I mean, are they pretty adventurous? Like when you go to different countries? Or
they will try everything.
That looks wild and crazy. Let's try it. Or
my daughter's more out there, so she will try more. My son's more
conservative. And
my daughter loves live octopus. Yeah, my son.
I still haven't tried that.
I have. Not.
I still haven't tried
I tried once. Wasn't for me. Yeah. Or like those larva bugs that they boil. I tried once.
I ate it. Yeah.
I was like, I tried it.
Yeah, I'm a wild food.
Give me a can of bugs.
Entertainer kind of. Yeah, but it came from being in Africa and just like appreciating that they don't have the options we have. Like they eat to survive. Right. For us, it's like a hobby. It's a sport. How to make this more delicious, how to add and how to mix. There, it's like cook and eat to fill your stomach till tomorrow, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And they eat big balls of pizza dough, like cassava, yam, plantain, and it's just eat a ball of dough with a little bit of soup, and that's it. You're happy till tomorrow, and eat the same thing again and again and again. But I like, for me, it's more kind of like the memories and the experience of eating something wild or crazy. You remember chocolate covered scorpions was Koh San Road in Bangkok, and snake's blood was, here, and you kind of attach those memories to all those things.
Yeah, my kids are like that, but my daughter's more adventurous than my son.
Ah, cool.
If you mention Bosnia, Albania, Kosovo, even Georgia, to most people in the West, there's probably some apprehension, why would you go there? I mean, if they didn't know you were from there, or if the kid said at school, we're going to Bosnia, Montenegro, why don't you just go to like Italy or France or something? What is it just completely normal for you? Or like for Steve, if he hadn't, or the first time he went, did he have that apprehension? Or in terms of, it's more unknown. Mm-hmm. It's not as commonly known to the regular folk.
To go to these places.
Right.
For Steve, I don't think so. For me, definitely, I wasn't fazed by it because they were all Soviet Union, right? Yeah. So we were all one. What was actually interesting, not so much of those countries, but when we went to Qatar for the World Cup, we had a chance to go to Saudi Arabia. Because we had the access to Qatar, we didn't have to get a visa for Saudi Arabia. And so we're like, for visa, we're going to go. We got 10 days before the next game.
Sure.
And so here I am coming from Brooklyn, New York after 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that, I don't want to say I didn't think I was that person until I got there. So in my mind,
right? I mean, that's how it works.
In anybody that's Saudi or Qatari or Middle Eastern, you have some sort of a vision in your mind.
Well, right? I don't think you should beat yourself up over that. When you look you look at the news,
but it's
that's
also,
all it preaches.
That's what pissed me off. So as a child, I grew up with them because Brooklyn is like versatile. Everybody's there. It's like a small world in there. But you never think about it until you actually have to travel to their country. So not that I was afraid. I really was not. Especially after having friends here. But when I got there, it's not what I expected. Not in a bad way or a good way. It's just, it wasn't what I expected. And when I started talking to these local people, there are normal people with normal values, with like normal outlook on life, just like I do. But then the media, what it does to make you have this vision of them is absolutely horrible. And what pissed me off was I had this image because of them. Yeah. And I kept telling my husband, shame on those people who portray that culture like that. Yeah. Because they're completely opposite of what they are. Especially when you talk to them. They're not stuck-up people just because, it's oil-rich country. They are hardworking, regular people.
But more reason for me to keep traveling, keep seeing, to dispel the myths of all the bullshit at home. Because, Nigeria, and I was in a lot of crazy countries in Africa, and they were like, well, you're crazy. Why would you go there? And, AIDS. I was there 2003 or whatever, and it was, you're going to get AIDS. People here don't even know what AIDS are. They just know how to say that. They don't know anything about it. And that most of the AIDS transmissions are from people getting malaria that need blood transfusions, and they just think drugs and sex and homosexual. But you guys have no idea.
Terrible.
And that's what the biggest part probably for me to give my kids is the education that we are all one. And this Israel-Hamas thing is horrible, but it's this whole media thing, and I don't trust any of them. And it's you really have to go, even when they say like travel advisor. You have to see with your own eyes, because you can't believe any of that shit they put on TV.
Nothing. I'm going to tell you a perfect story. 2 weeks before I went to Spain, monkey virus. Oh, God. I don't know if you remember.
Oh God, that was right after COVID.
It was right after COVID.
I refuse to click on anything so I don't get more. I'm like, I'm not getting into this one.
I was like, what the hell is a monkey virus? So I clicked because it said something Spain. So I called my friend. I said, do you want to hear a funniest story? I said, I was going through my stuff and I heard about this monkey thing coming to Spain. And she was in Spain. I was going to go see her. I said, have you heard about this? She started laughing.
Oh, yeah.
She goes, if there was something, anything in this world, somebody else that because we've known so many people, would tell you about it. So imagine when I didn't tell you what this monkey thing was. She goes, do you know how it even started? I said, no, I don't know. I don't want to know. I just want to know if it's there. She goes, no. It was like one case. Somebody traveled somewhere, did something stupid, and the whole country of Spain is infected with a monkey virus.
But, I was talking to buddies in China during Corona, and they're like, dude, I'm still playing hockey. And some places they do have lockdowns and stuff. There's no question, but it's not, they don't know what you're seeing. But they're like, it's probably not what you're looking at. Exactly. Everybody locked looking out this window when they can escape. And it's just more incentive for me to go and see it with my own eyes and to experience in the Muslim countries in sub-Saharan Africa.
Especially, yes.
And I was like, man, these are some of my favorite people I've ever met.
Normal,
and they just get all painted with this one brush, and it's awful, awful, awful.
So that's what actually pissed me off about how manipulated I was by the news media about, those countries, those people. And you talk to them, and there are absolutely nothing
like that.
Nothing like that. It was just amazing.
That's every country I've been to. You realize after leaving, like, oh, they're the same as me. Oh, they're the same as me. We're all just normal people.
They're exactly the same as me. Yes, they grew up in a different part of the world. They believe in different things, but they're the exact same people.
Except people from Thunder Bay. They're a little bit different.
Another example was when we told people we were going to Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan. They're like,
why?
Afghanistan and ISIS? And I was like, I didn't say Afghanistan. You did that.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't. You respect me because I you know me and stuff, but you think I'm going to bring my kids and wife to an ISIS? Like, come on, guys. Don't jump to conclusions. And then you know what? You come back with all these amazing stories and pictures, and now I want to go. And I was like, way cheaper than going home, way more fun than going home, way more interesting. And I should go. I was like, but 2 months ago, you're telling me, Nate, are you sure? Yeah. Oh, your kids. Oh, you're crazy. But you don't know anything about these places. You don't think I did any research?
Yeah.
Those things really bother me when I say, hey, you gotta come and see it. You gotta go. And even for Korea, well, North Korea's right there. Well, come. I've been here for 20 years. Like, come and you think I'm always living under the threat? Come and see. Come on.
A couple of years ago, right, when he was getting tensions or whatever, and my mom would call me every morning. What's going on? What's going on?
Nothing. Don't boost completely
like
fine.
No one's even talking about North Korea except for you guys.
Yeah, they have way more. They have way more stuff than we
you have more
do.
information than 5 minutes from them.
Someone sent me a video one time of like what was on CNN. It was like red alert, like wah, wah, wah. You'd think they like
the world was coming.
We're done.
Yeah.
But everything's fine.
What was I going to ask? Maybe in terms of safety and stuff, do you take any extra precautions having the kids with you? Not. I don't mean terrorism or crazy stuff, but another example of what we were just talking about, malaria. I've had malaria 5 times, but in Canada, it's not just the media; it's the whole medical system. Mm-hmm. They're prescribing me $15 a pill of mefloquine once a week. I get to Ghana and they're like, "Oh, just sell that shit to the next Peace Corps guys. You don't need that." When you get it, you just go there. They'll give you 2 pills that cost 10 cents and you're done. I was like, well, why did they implant this fear in me that I was going to die from malaria before I could left?
Man.
But they've never even seen malaria, the guys prescribing it. Someone told them, this is what you do. You're a tropical medicine guy. I've had malaria 5 times. Once was pretty serious. But again, like, oh, I can't go. They have crazy diseases. Go and find out. So in terms of that stuff, do you take any extra precautions or anything because you have kids? Or
to add on to that, maybe you guys travel so much, can you include maybe some information about travel insurance that you guys go with?
So we never have travel insurance.
Oh, interesting.
I
bought it last time, and when you don't use it, you're like, damn it, I wish I broke my leg or something.
I've never bought it.
Part of my comfort in developing countries or less developed countries is that they always have like expat hospitals or a French hospital or a British hospital or something. Mm-hmm. And even paying cash is going to be cheaper than your insurance will be in a lot of cases. I mean, if you end up paralyzed or something, you're up a creek without a paddle. But if it's a basic broken arm or something, and Petey dislocated his shoulder and we rode it on the back of a motorcycle, stayed overnight. All the nurses speak French and Cambodian or where we were. They're like, okay, $52. And I'm like, come on. What, like, where's the rest of the bill? Okay, sure. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, all these years, I've never even looked into it. I don't even know what it covers.
Oh my God.
I honestly, not even on flights, not even on anything.
I never do for the flights.
Never, ever.
But just before going back home, I was like, man, we're going to be in the States. If something happens, I'm screwed. Yeah.
I absolutely nothing. Yeah. Never, ever.
I've never ever used it, but I've forked out for the last three vacations. I think I did. It's whatever. It's $400 or $500.
Yeah, I've never done it. But as far as safety, so again, we here in Korea, we live in a very safe country, very city, almost no drug problems or crazies like back in the States. But when we started going back every summer, and I knew we were going to be in parks and beaches, and yes, sometimes you get, little relaxed because you're coming from a culture here, and you could like leave your kid literally in the street and nothing's going to happen to them.
Or your computer or
anything, right? So when the first summer we went back, and then my husband knows this, my kids knew this, I had to talk in the car before we got to the airport. And I would be straightforward. I'm very direct. I'm like, listen, kids, we're going to the jungle. Those people out there that we don't know, they're going to get you. I don't know how they're going to get you. They could kidnap you. They could give you a candy, a dog to play with. They're going to use everything. And I give them all the examples. And I did it for so many years. I should have just recorded and pressed play. My husband goes, you're making me scared. Good. This is what I want my kids to know that's out there. Yeah. Because if I don't tell them, this could happen to them and they're not going to know what to do.
Sure. You don't.
So we have our system, what to do in case. We know, what could happen, what not to happen. And then as they got older, I just let them watch CSI so they really know what's going on.
Not CSI. You got to put on Taken.
Everything. Yes, we watched that as well. Yeah,
I made
so
6 left turns.
Yeah, every time we travel, the talk is more serious now. Maybe not so scary, but I tell them, I'm like, listen, different countries look for different things in different people. It could be pickpocketing. It could be whatever it is. Whatever, kidney transplant, whatever it is. You have to be extra cautious. You need to have eyes and ears behind your head and always, always trust your gut instinct.
Yes.
If you think that street is a little shady, take the other one. You know, like...
Yeah.
I've had lots of those. I think both streets are shady.
Yeah.
Just go faster.
Because, okay.
Clench your ass and
coming
just
from
go.
New York, okay, like I said, I did Taekwondo all my life. I'm very confident if, God forbid, something did happen.
Taekwondo gun. Yeah.
Anything. I'm very confident. But these kids that are growing up in such a smooth, you know, like Pleasantville country, they don't know what to do.
Sure.
Like in New York, if somebody like bumps you in the shoulder just because you're crossing paths and there's thousands of people around you, my hands automatically go up because I'm ready. Not because I'm looking for a fight. It's just an instinct. This is what you do. But other people just walk by, you know, or like it's dark outside. We had keys. We didn't have passwords. I had all my keys in my hand because if I need to, I'm going to
one sticking out between your finger. Yeah.
Exactly. Or I always turn around when I walk. And in the beginning, my kids would say, Mom, what are you looking for? I'm like, I'm checking if somebody's following me.
Yeah.
Situational awareness.
Yeah, it's just a habit because this is what I had to deal with and this is how we survived.
But it's a good default setting to have.
Yeah, so
you don't want to be, oh shit, I got robbed again.
Right?
Someone again.
Someone pickpocketed me. Like I know, don't leave your backpack on your back. Put it on the front or little things like that.
I was really paranoid about getting pickpocketed in New York, so I had like a little what do you call cross bag under my sweater or under my shirt I
do it all the time, and I'm from New York. Because I know it happens, especially on the trains. You know, people bumping into you, whatever. Absolutely, you need to know what to do. So I do warn them verbally, and I tell them, remember the movie we saw, remember this. So you have to constantly remind them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's better to go a little hard in the paint and make them a little more scared than a little less lax, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, I like it.
Are there any traits, influences, things you think that you take with you from coming from Georgia? 8 years, it's kind of long enough to have some stuff instilled in you, but maybe your time in New York has overrode that? Or is there anything you go like, this is because I'm Georgian, this is because where I'm from?
Absolutely.
Yep.
For the longest time, and millions of people I've met could tell you, every time I do something that's out of the ordinary, I say it's a Georgian thing. Like, that's my excuse. And it's so funny because Amazon has a notebook that says it's a Georgian thing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I know.
Very nice.
They probably heard me. But yes. So even though I was so young when I went to America, my family...
When did you go?
I was 8.
What year?
To 1992.
So right after the fall
right
of the Soviet Union.
Yeah, that was part of the reason why we left. And so... when my parents were there, our home was very much a Georgian culture family. We spoke only Georgian in the house. We cooked Georgian food. And then slowly when my other family members were migrating over, it was like we had our own Georgian community. So we kept the traditions, we kept the little things. So we're not Catholic, we're Orthodox Christian. So we kept our traditional holidays and, you know, rituals or whatever they were. So we always had that. And now that I have my kids, we celebrate everything twice. So we have 2 Christmases, we have 2 New Year's, we have 2 Easters, and like little holidays here and there, name days,
and
things
Chuseok
like
and
this.
Solal. And...
Then we adapt to everything else.
You guys are going to be off for the whole year pretty soon.
When you're in Rome,
It's 20.
you got to adapt. So
27 plus 2 Christmases plus 2. That's what it is. Hey, we got the formula now.
So I definitely take some of those Georgian stuff and I utilize it. Sometimes I take advantage of it, but
as you should.
And what about the New York roots or values?
Oh yeah. Do you know how loud we are when
Someone
we go
bumps
out?
your shoulder, fist up. Man.
Forget it.
Get those bows up.
Forget about it. It's crazy. It's crazy. But since I can't work here in Korea, I volunteer a lot. And in the beginning, when my kids were smaller in HFS, I volunteered to teach them Taekwondo.
Nice.
So I got my kids to be right before black belt. And so, like, again, I instilled those things in me that I took from growing up in Brooklyn, things that you need to know. I'm like, okay, kids, we live in a very peaceful, country here. But there's that one guy that's going to be like, I'm going to mess with you.
Yeah.
I said, but I always told the kids this all the time when I told them, even when they were small, do not start a fight. But, and it's a big but.
You can finish one.
You better finish it.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of parents, they're like, oh, why do you encourage violence? I'm like, I'm not. I'm telling you to defend yourself.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you to take the first shot, but if someone's going to take the first shot, he ain't going to get the second one.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
Absolutely.
yeah, so I instill those things. Georgian, Brooklyn, whatever.
It's a good
I
mix.
make up some Italian ones. Yeah, you have to.
I would love to chat for 3 more hours about the Soviet Union and 9/11 and all these things. But do you feel that, I mean, having been through so many different and unique situations, maybe what are some of the things that you take away or that you cherish? I mean, from the Olympics and the World Cup to the Soviet Union to 9/11, and I mean, just so many ups and downs and highs and lows. Is it resilience? What is, carpe diem, or maybe what is your motto, or how do these things impact the way you live?
I don't know. So I don't want to say I'm fearless, but when I was 16, I went skydiving.
Jesus.
And for me, that was, I don't know, that was like an experience where I jumped out of a perfectly fine working
Airplane, yeah.
At 16, so let me backtrack. When I got to New York, I was 8. And I had already known English. So when I got tested to see what grade to go into, I kept getting skipped.
Okay.
So I skipped 3 grades between elementary and middle school.
Wow.
So I graduated high school in New York when I was 15 because my birthday's in October.
Wow.
So going into college, I was very young.
Yeah.
But because I've always had friends who are older than me, I wasn't
Doing stuff that they were doing.
like I wasn't doing that, but even my mind wasn't, that age. I was always mature. I was always older.
Yep.
So when I went skydiving at 16, and I'm jumping off this airplane and I'm free falling for 52 seconds.
Oh.
And I'm like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
And
Living life.
and then when I landed, and I was kind of disappointed because I'm like, I will not be afraid of anything.
Yeah.
And I remember that specific moment. I'm like, there is nothing that's going to scare me now because I just willingly jumped out of an airplane.
Yeah.
Like some people have to do it because they're in the military, but I did it because I just felt like jumping out of an airplane, like on a Sunday morning. So since then, I felt that not only can I do anything, I can do anything. Then I had Taekwondo already under my belt, so I had that kind of confidence in me. And then I had my family support, always supported everything I did. I got a job when I was 13 because I wanted a Jordan outfit and my parents couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Granted, of course not. It's like $200 a pop.
Sure.
So I was like, so can I get a job? And my mom said, I guess so. Like, I don't know.
Sure.
Can 13-year-olds get a job?
Yeah.
It was new to her too. I was like, if I get a job, can I get a job? And so I got a job and I got myself a whole outfit and my cousin.
Beautiful.
And so imagine when you could do all those things so young, at a young age. Your parents are supporting you. I had an amazing group of friends, older ones, who always encouraged. I was like, I am fearless. I can do anything I want. And I grew up thinking like that. And I was always like, well, I don't care what you think about me as long as I think I'm doing okay.
Best
like,
way.
I'll take whatever you have to tell me, but it's not going to impact or change my mind or make me feel down or whatever. I just didn't care.
Secure in your own.
Yeah, I was very secure. And so I brainwashed my kids with this. Like, if you ask my daughter right now, she'll probably tell you, if I tell her, like, oh, I do not like what you're wearing, she's like, well, good thing you're not wearing it. That's her answer.
Beautiful.
Or like, well, I don't really care.
Like,
Mark, bump that up to an 8 for the next report card.
Yeah, like, I'm so into, like, it doesn't matter what other people think as long as you're okay with it, you know? Sure. Or like, don't
isn't there some lines though?
Probably.
My daughter to tell me these belly button shirts is, I'm like, you're 7 and 9, no belly button shirts in
We
here.
went through that. So I told her, I said, there is a time and place for everything, but just not at that age. Yeah. And then I guess the kids don't really understand, but if you tell them long enough, they kind of process that. Yeah. I'm a psychology major. Yeah. So I'm like, so I instilled all this into them, and maybe there's some, like stubbornness from Georgian and toughness from Brooklyn, growing up in Brooklyn, because it was tough. I was a girl. I was an immigrant girl growing up into a public school where I had to walk through, metal detectors every day. Yeah. Where am I going? You know? Yeah. So you had to build this tough skin, and I liked it. So I want my kids to have tough skin, and I'm pretty sure they have tough skin. Like,
Nicholas says, I'm going skydiving tomorrow.
But go.
Awesome, or?
I'll take you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, for sure.
Deadly.
And so I like to bring up whatever I went through and instill them to my kids. At the same time, like, show them, yes, there are poor children. When we were in Philippines, there were little girls selling bracelets. And she's like, Mom, why are they selling bracelets? Why are they in school?
They want to eat
they
dinner,
know they're on vacation. I'm like, because they can't go to school. They need to support their family. I'm like, I'm straight up with them. I'm not hiding it. I want them to know this is reality, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it just because we live in, this utopia country.
Yeah. That's what I like when I hear about white privilege or privilege and all these different privilege, but to understand your privilege, to know it. And that's what I like my kids to know, is that they're so lucky to be in a safe, peaceful country, and Dad's country is also safe and peaceful, and we have the means to do some of these trips, and they're so lucky. But to understand your privilege and to do something good with it. Yeah,
that's why I tell my son all the time, volunteer. Yeah. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know what you're going to study. You never know what you're going to learn from somebody or something, a situation. Yeah. When he was in 8th grade, he volunteered in soup kitchen in Busan. I didn't even know it was a thing. The school took him, and then he loved it. He would go and volunteer all the time. Or like little things like that, like you never know what you're going to do until you do it. Yes, it may be scary at first to do these little things, but try it. Sure. You don't got to do it again if you don't like it.
Like we said before, the narrative, the media
that portrays,
shows you, and like all one of the biggest things I took away from all my traveling is that you can learn something from everybody.
Absolutely.
Don't shun anybody. Don't turn anyone away. Even if it's the serial killer in the jail, you're going to do the talks through the windows for whatever. You can learn from everybody something. And from most people, a lot more than something.
Absolutely.
And that we shouldn't discount anybody just because of their background, skin color, religion. They'll teach you more than you ever learned in school.
Absolutely.
In one conversation. And
absolutely.
I think that's
or
really
just
important.
Walking through the streets of Bosnia or like Kosovo. They went through so many wars and they survived, so talk to these people, see what they went through, what they experienced.
And then your kids are old enough that when they come home, if something piques their interest, they can look it up. And with the internet now, you're like, what kind of wars? Holy shit, that's wow. And that's what I like out of traveling. I go somewhere, I learn something, and I'm like, I want to know more. If you introduced it to me in high school, grade 12, I'd be like, I'm not so interested in that. But coming to Korea, I want to know everything about North Korea.
Well, that's
because I live here and it's part of my life.
Yeah.
Herman Hesse's Siddhartha. That's I think the big takeaway from the book is that you can experience is the best teacher. It's the only way to really learn anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. So this summer, the coming up summer, we were talking and we're like, so where are we going next summer with the families? And my son, I think it was last year, learned about World War II. Very just skimming through it. And he's like, let's go to Germany. I would love to see like Berlin and
Sure.
whatever the areas, the concentration camps and stuff like that. So we're thinking about Germany next year.
That'd be a heck of a.
Yeah.
And you might just stay there until Oktoberfest, or
yeah.
oh shit, Oktoberfest
only
is 6 weeks
27
later.
days
So I
away.
just
Might
stayed.
as well.
6 weeks and 27 days, right?
Surprisingly, Germany's hosting the next Euros there.
Oh.
Wow, shocker, right? I was like, you sure it's not the Euros you want to go see and not the Berlin? But
Awesome, man. Okay, I've drank almost this 2-liter bottle of water here.
I
don't think Nate, you got the catheter over there. You gotta hook me up,
I want
dude.
to move to Dongu and have intellectual conversations.
Yeah. No.
Thanks a lot.
yeah.
Awesome. We can go on for a long time.
As I said before, man, you've come to so many events. I've seen you and your family so many times. It's so nice to sit down and hear the background story. And
Yes, thank you for
whatnot.
inviting.
That's awesome. I think there's lots of takeaways from this that the viewers can
I hope so.
can enjoy and cherish. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Thank you for coming, and we'll talk to you next time. Goodbye.